Open up your Bibles to the book of Amos. You know, every time I hear, and there's an opportunity for us to go into that particular song, and then we have an opportunity to do something in our pregnancy care center. It's always great. I want you all to know something. Somebody shout glory real quick. Glory! I want you to know that our church gave earlier this year 100 packs. Remember that? 100 packs of diapers to the pregnancy care center. Amen. And so we are doing our best to make a difference where God touches our heart. We're going to be in the book of Amos chapter 7. And when you're there, please stand to your feet in reverence to the word and the truth of God. Amen. Somebody. Amos 7. We're going to start I think we're going to start right about, we'll start at the 10th verse. Alright? When you get there, we're going to let the children depart a little bit. Right. Amen, somebody. Amen. Do you have it? Wait. Okay, we'll wait. Book of Amos, 7th chapter, starting at the 10th verse. I'm looking forward to this message. I don't know about y'all, but I'm looking forward to this thing. All right. Then Amaziah the priest of Bethel sent to Jeroboam, king of Israel, saying, Amos has conspired against the midst of the house of Israel, and the land is not able to bear all his words. 11th verse. And thus Amos said, Jeroboam shall die by the sword, and Israel shall surely be led away captive out of their own land. So Amaziah and he said unto Amos, O thou seer, go flee thee away into the land of Judah, and there eat bread and prophesy there. Somebody say, and prophesy there. And prophesy there. But prophesy not again anymore to Bethel, for it is the king's chapel, and it is the king's court. And then Amos said, I was no prophet, neither was I the son of a prophet, but I was a herdman and a gatherer of sycamore fruit. And the Lord took me as I followed the flock, and the Lord said unto me, go prophesy unto my people Israel. If you would, I'm going to borrow a title, because I told Monique I would. If you look at your neighbor, say, neighbor. Neighbor. The topic of today's discussion is? Who's going to check me? Who's going to check me? You may be seated in the presence of the Lord. Now, I was watching a message. This week from Tasha Cobbs, and she was sharing about something that God gave her, and her title was, Bertoni, who gonna check you, boo? Because she was saying that when God has called you to something, there is nobody who can stop you. There's nobody who can get in the way. There is nobody who has the right to say that God didn't say it. As I did some research in this text, it brought me to something that I had to consider and I had to think about. I had to think about the reason for which we gather. And I've been really on that kick for the last few months because I think a lot of us have misunderstood the purpose of church. A lot of us have missed the real reason for which we come together. But this scripture really bears it out, because this guy, Amaziah, came and he was talking about Amos. He said, who is this guy think he is? He's not a part of our group. He wasn't even trained. All we know is he had come into the king's palace smelling like sheep, had the nerve to tell us, thus saith the Lord God. And so it was extremely interesting to me because Amos didn't get defensive. Why didn't he get defensive? It's very simple. Because he realized the reason for which he came into the king's court. The reason he came because God sent him. Now let me help somebody that's in this house today. Some of you don't really understand even why you're here today. Some of you won't be caught dead missing any hours at work. But church is always the first thing that can be easily moved out of your schedule. Because you don't have a real value of what it means to be a part of the assembly of God. Now let me be exceptionally clear. I can spend time and I can give you the hermeneutics and I can break down the homiletics of this particular context and present it to you in such a way that explains the historical value. But the most important thing of this text is it had nothing to do with the pedigree of Amos, but everything to do with the willingness of Amos. The reason why God called together a church, the reason why Jesus came and he didn't look for the elite Pharisees and the Sadducees to fill his church, because they had the education, Elder Doug, but they didn't have the readiness and willingness of heart. Because what has happened along the way is that we've become really religious and think we understand God. Thus we think we can now tell God what needs to be done and what doesn't need to be done. That's why you find foolish people arguing about, well, we don't do it like this in our church. This is how it's supposed to happen in our church. This is the order of service, because they have become religious and lack a quality relationship. How do you know they lack a quality relationship, Pastor? Because they're the same ones that then will come to you and I and ask us for prayer. Because it's amazing to me that you understand so much about what God wants in service, but you can't even pray a common cold off of you. It denotes to me, beloved, that one reality of the Lord's church is that we got a whole lot of pretenders and a lot of powerless folk claiming to know God, but when it comes to the rubber meeting the road, we have no true effectiveness that God can rely on. Amen. So we see consistently God going to who we consider to be ignorant, who God considered, watch this, to be the most willing. All right. Amen. The folk that you can't stand are the folk God is putting in position over you now. Amen. Come here, Amos. Amos said, listen, I didn't want to do this. I didn't even ask God to talk about nothing. I was happy fooling with my little sheep and putting together my little herd and look and getting my fruit together. I was perfectly fine. I didn't want to do no ministry. But God moved him to an area to speak against, watch this, not even a king. He didn't come first and foremost to prophesy against the king. He came to prophesy against the prophets. Amen. Amen. God sent me by here today to talk to all of you who claim to know Jesus for 20 or 30 or 40 years. Where in the world is your fruit? Amen. We have learned to theologize why God ain't moving for us. Well, you know, sometimes God don't move that way. Well, you know, sometimes God don't want to do that. Well, how about maybe I'm not willing to let God be God in my life? Amen. Well, maybe because I'm constantly telling God what I prefer to do and what I ain't going to do. I tell you right now, I look at you and say, God called you to be a preacher. You say, well, that ain't my calling. I don't even like preaching. Matter of fact, I don't even like people. I said, that ain't got nothing to do with you. They got everything to do with what God wants, and He's going to get it out of you one way or another. Either you're going to preach now living, or He's going to preach at your funeral. Amen. Either way, God will get His glory out of you. And see, and that's one thing that we constantly forget. This whole reality of people who deny the call. You know why we deny the call, Sister Renee? Because we got this comparison demon. This comparison demon, we want to look like certain people. Well, you know, so-and-so was called from a preacher, and he said he saw an angel talk to him. I ain't even see that. You know, so-and-so said they came from a family of preachers. And, you know, I came from a family of drunks. But God is saying, all I need is one thing out of you, is a willing heart. Listen, let me bust up, let me shoot a sacred cow. Can I shoot a sacred cow real quick? Let me shoot this thing and turn it into hamburger meat. Watch this. There it is, right there. I'm about to get it right there between the eyes. You ain't even got to know a lot of scripture. You just need to know one, that God chose you. That His love is for you. That's it. And everything else will come. Have we forgotten the simplicity of this reality? That if God has called you, He will equip you. The Bible says, Jeremiah 1:5, before you were born, I knew you. I sanctified you. Let me help you. Let me cuss you out real quick in the spirit. He knew you before you thought you knew yourself. So get your, we sat as a real hood person, we used to know a real ghetto person down in Miami. And she used to say this when she was trying to get somebody together. She said, get your whole life together. And so look at somebody who still act like they still bougie and they know something. Tell them, get your whole life together. Because what's still amazing to me is that this prophet, right, was out of position. And he comes to Amos and says, you know, you go over there back where you came from, because you ain't got no right to talk here. And really what Amos was saying to him, look, who gonna check me? Who gonna stop me from doing, because I realize that I got something that's more behind me than what's before me. I realize that this God that put this thing in me can overcome anything that I'm facing. So I don't care what you gonna accuse me of. I got something that can't be checked and sure can't be stopped. So you best get out your way. How do you know that? Well, the Bible tells us very clearly that Gamaliel said the same thing. You remember that, Doug? He was talking to the folk were mad at the apostles. They said, who they think they are? They ain't even called. Matter of fact, the truth is they ain't even got no Jews. They ain't even got no money. They ain't even been trained. They weren't nothing but some dumb fishermen. He said, well, listen. This has happened many times before. We had somebody that came up before and said they were led. They had this group, and when they died, the whole movement fell apart. Somebody else came up, they had a movement, they wanted to start something, and then they got into it, next thing you know, he died and then fell apart. But they said, if this thing is truly a man, it's going to fall apart. Look at your neighbor and say, if it's a man, it's going to fall apart. But if God fooled around and really talked to that man, if God really talked to that woman and said that they're going to open up a business, then baby, you better get out the way, because you ain't fighting man. You fighting God. If God really called that man to move in that anointing, baby, you better get out the way, because there's a freight train and you ain't nothing but a piece of paper compared to what's coming through. Yeah. So I've come to remind somebody of the sensitivity of the text, beloved, is that Jesus said something. That you didn't choose, I chose you. You're able to love because, watch this, He first loved us. The reason why I can give passionate, unstopping love, because He first gave it to me. Amen. That's why when I preach, I can tell you about God is able to do it despite how people are judging you. Now let me stay in my text. Let me get back to my verse here. One of the very interesting things is about Amaziah, that he was a gentleman with a forked tongue. He was one of those prophets for hire. How do you know that? I'm glad you asked that, Ray. How do you know that, Pastor? Well, the reason why I know that is because if you look at it, he said, how are you going to come and prophesy in the king's court? They turned the temple into something that was owned by the state because he wanted position. Let me explain something to you. There are some folk that are just trying to do anything they can, but down there they have a price. Be very careful when you hang with preachers and prophets and leaders of the Lord's church who are waiting on the highest bidder to determine their next direction. Let me help somebody else here. Some of you have given up on God because somebody said they can get it for you quicker. All right. You know how you do when you go on your Rolodex? Oh, excuse me, y'all a little young, so when you go on your cell phone contact list and say, who can I just bat my eyes at to get this? Watch this, who I need to buy a dinner to get this? Or make promises that ain't never going to come to pass to get this? Yeah, listen, just say ouch. Because we are so willing to trade God because we really ain't connected. That was for somebody else free. Alright, so he talked about this king. He said, how are you going to prophesy in the king's court? And it's interesting because when you really get into a tight situation, when you really get into a hard struggle, it really lets you and I know what and who we really believe, because that's who we have the confidence in. Watch this. I can't tell you, Sister Fowler, how many folk I've heard say, well, you know, I tried praying, so I went to the hospital. Well, you know, I tried church, meaning I went and I sat in the back and I didn't really do nothing, but I tried it and it didn't fix it for me. But then you went to a hospital, you met a guy that you never saw before, right? He had a whole bunch of papers on the wall which qualified him to tell you what to do with your life. But the one who's been with you from the very beginning of your existence, who walked with you, who gave you comfort, who brought you joy when you were raggedy and when you weren't, when you were ratchet and when you were not, the one who kept you through every choice and bad choice, that one simply became unqualified because he was taking too long. But this guy who said, I got a quick fix for you. You ready? You look, you went in there. Let me show you what's so funny. Some folks just so quick to believe anybody. They go into the doctor's office. He said, all right, take your clothes off. Okay, no problem. And you get naked just because he said so. You don't know nothing about this guy other than he's supposedly a doctor. And God only wants your tail to show up in prayer and to read your Bible, and you can stay clothed, and you, this joker you just met day before yesterday, and he tell you to get naked. You don't think nothing wrong with that. And you came in there because your arm hurt. Because we don't have a value in what God is saying to us, and we have a value in what the world says to us. And you want to know why things aren't changing in your life? Because you're looking to the wrong person who ain't even got that much power. Because after you get naked and you do whatever you're going to do, all you say, well, I think this is it, so try this and let me know what happens. Yeah, and then come back and see me. But look, you can't even do that unless your insurance is good.
All right. Amen.
What if God said, I will only do this miracle for you if you got a good track record with me? Oh, it's just me and you, lights. What if God was like the people you trust in? Yeah. Like that's a preacher friend of mine said, you went from preaching to meddling now. Get back to your text real quick. I'm going to give you the last verse and we're going to be done with it. We're going to move on. 15th verse, he says, and the Lord looked to me, and he took me and I followed. Excuse me. The Lord took me as I followed the flock. Look at this in the 15th verse. I want you to see this is the apex of how God calls us. Okay, let me explain something to you. Brother Tony is looking for revival. He's believing God for revival. We're believing God for revival. We're believing God. We're in prayer. Prayer always precedes revival. We must be in a point of agonizing prayer. There was a gentleman by the name of Evan Roberts who was looking for God to do a significant move. And the first thing that happened, Sister Kim, is that God began to have him to his heart to break. And the first prayer he began to utter was, Lord, bend me. Bend me, because the shape I'm in right now, I can't be used like this. I still think it's okay to come here on Sunday and be raggedy on Monday. God, I'm not in shape. Lord, I think it's okay to sit in the church and think it's okay not to talk to two people that are 3 rows ahead of me. Lord, I'm something wrong with me, and I need to be remolded so that I can be properly used. God, I still think it's okay to be an alcoholic and still be drunk in the spirit. But watch this. The Lord took me as I followed the flock, meaning this. While you were doing what God gave you to do, working with what you had, God snatched him up and then placed him in his ministry. What does that mean to you and I? What God is going to do in this season, you ain't got to do nothing extra or nothing special. All you got to do is be found faithful in this season. Amen. Listen, if you don't know how to please God to the best of your ability, just keep doing what you're doing. If you usher, baby, usher like it ain't no tomorrow. Put plans together. If you're in a choir, sing, learn more songs. Get ready, because you never know when your moment gonna come. If you preaching and you got one message, you better learn that thing, do a remix, and do it all over again until God says something different. But just stay where you are and stay faithful. The problem with you and I is we get one step away from a breakthrough and we get tired and we quit.
Amen.
God will use you if you don't get weary. You know, I can tell they're tired folk, Elder Doug. You know what I can tell tired folk? Because then every tired folk get bothered by everything. Well, you know, Pastor, I was in service, but I just couldn't stop. That baby kept crying, and I just can't get with the Lord when there's a baby crying in service. And you know what I tell them? You know the reason why you so easily distracted? Because you went in the spirit anyway. Well, you know, Pastor, you know, I just really, I need to, you know, I just can't, you know, sit next to somebody who just dressed like that. She had no business coming in church with that on. And so you saw all that while you were talking to God? All that? And you still can't figure out how to start sleeping in your own bed and not others?
All right.
You are able to name every flaw in our church, but you still lying on your taxes?
All right.
All right, I hope that's a conviction laughter. All right, great. How you always got something to bring to a meeting negative, but you can't see what God did do?
Amen.
You can't see the fact that folk were getting saved. You know what? I believe in the power of prayer. There was a gentleman that came to our church about, it was Tuesday, and he said, you know, I'm believing God for my son to get a liver transplant, right? And he'd been believing God for this for like months. And he said he just can't, you know, he's on the list, but it's just never available. And so I said, look, I believe in prayer. If I pray, it's going to happen. Because I don't waste words when I pray. When I'm praying, I'm looking for a result. Amen, somebody? Amen. I prayed that Tuesday. In 2 days, he inboxed me and said, you know what? They got it ready, and I'm going down tomorrow for the transplant. And you know how I got that type of testimony, Elder? Because I don't fool around looking at all these other things when I come into the sanctuary. Amen. When I'm in the presence of God, I ain't looking for how folk dress and what folk think and what folk wearing. I'm thinking about, God, how can I please you so I can get some results? Amen. Amen. Got nerve to say God ain't working, baby. You ain't even getting them a chance. But if he was a doctor that took your insurance and told you to get naked, you'd be right there naked and still be ragged and messed up.
All right.
Got me mad. Y'all got me just... You know, cause it's crazy because after the doctor flew around to get you naked and took all your money, and now you got all these co-pays that you can't pay, then you'll come back to church and say, God, I need you.
All right.
You know what, Don? Can we start charging insurance when people come in? I'll say I'll look into it. All right, there you go. Amen. Would that be something if we had church insurance? Oh, maybe, I got to think through that. Let me stay focused. All right. But there are some of you here today that are being called of God. But you are constantly getting weary, and you are letting other people's opinions stop you. Let me be clear, can't nobody check you and stop what God is doing in your life. Let me even say it this way. Folk ain't gotta like you for God to bless you. Let me say that again. Let me even say it this way. God will make the folk who don't like you bless you. But you got to be willing to line up with Him. Amen, somebody. So next time you hear somebody talk about you and talk crazy, look at them. I want you to look at them just like this. And I want you to get a little ghetto and say, who gonna check me? God already said that I'm anointed and I'm called. I don't need nobody else to say anything. You hear what I'm saying? Because look, when God tells you that you are called and you are anointed and He gives you everything you need, maybe that's all you need. Look, can't nobody check you, can't nobody stop you. Matter of fact, you ain't even got to like you, and I ain't even try to get you to like me. I used to try, I used to think that, people liking me was a part of God's approval, and then I realized that it wasn't. And ever since then, I don't care how, look, I don't even care how mad you get, because surely I ain't even done all that God's called, so you about to be furious in a few days. So you better get yourself prepared, because what God about to do through me is just going to burn you up. And so I need you to get your whole life together, get ready, and try to check somebody who got lower self-esteem than what God has given me. Amen. Amen, somebody. So look at your neighbor and say, baby, they can't check us. Everybody stand to your feet.